What are we talking about today? Can Omega survive as a two-watch brand? Hey everyone, I finally ran out of coffee, so I just actually ordered some. But in keeping with today's theme, we have this guy right back here, 007. Fun fact, did you know Cigar Aficionado actually charges $20 for a single back issue? I guess I'm kind of lucky that I still saved this issue from 2008. I think we can agree that Omega is one of the most solid and recognized watch brands we have. They're almost always recognized in the same breath as Rolex, Omega, and Breitling. In that order, Rolex and Omega. And Omega is so tired of playing second fiddle to Rolex, they want to be known as Omega and Rolex. And I think they're fighting above their weight class for some of the prices they're charging for the lack of variety they're offering. Omega's flagship and best-selling watches are the Speedmaster and Seamaster. In fact, on the Speedmaster, there are 8 different Speedies and 7 different moon watches. And for the Seamaster, there are 6 variations on 17 different models on the Seamaster 300 alone. And while they're Omega's best-known watches, they do have other watches in their lineup, and they're the DeVille and Constellation. But to me, those are just filler watches because I understand it might be a lot more difficult to be considered a serious contender in the watch marketplace with having only 2 different watches. But the DeVille and Constellation have been insignificant for so long. I actually have here, I have the Constellation from back in the day, this two-tone 18 karat in steel. But this watch has stopped being relevant for over a decade now. So what if Omega just did completely away with the DeVille and Constellation and introduced us to all new watches alongside the Speedmaster and Seamaster? I think that would actually freshen up the Omega brand and really help with their image rather than keeping some stale brands just as fillers within their lineup. As we can see here, Omega has a variety of different ambassadors and spokespeople. But their A-lister is George Clooney. I really like Clooney in the movies, whether it was Dr. Ross or Bruce Wayne. Maybe not Bruce Wayne, that's not a good example. Or Danny Ocean from the Ocean's 11 movies. I like Clooney. But if Omega wants the coveted customers between the 25 and 35 age, I don't think Clooney might not necessarily be the best representation for that group. If I'm 25 and I'm looking at Clooney in an ad with the Speedmaster, I might be thinking that this is an old man's watch, and I might not be able to relate to someone twice my age. What I think Omega should do is take a page out of the Rolex playbook and get rid of the DeVille and Constellation, like I said, replace it with newer watches, a lot like Rolex is doing with Tudor, trying to gain a more youthful audience. And I think that would really go a long way to freshen up the Omega brand and their image. At the top of the show, I mentioned that Omega is fighting above their weight class, and that's because for the 57 Speedmaster, which has a really nice movement, the 9300 movement, I think that's a really attractive and a really nice movement. But they're charging about $9,400, $9,500. And for the Dark Side of the Moon, which is the black ceramic version of that, it's over $12,000. $12,000 plus. And Omega is not a $12,000 watch. With that price, we can get almost any Rolex in their steel lineup or a JLC Reverso. In fact, for $12,000, that opens the doors really widely for us. It gives us a lot of options. In fact, that's approaching brigade territory. Aside from all the variations on the Speedmaster and Seamaster, Omega really needs to work on other lineups. I mean, if you compare Omega to Rolex, Rolex doesn't have any insignificant or irrelevant pieces in their lineup, and neither does Breitling. I mean, Breitling has a few flagship watches. They have the Navitimer, the Super Ocean, the Super Avenger, the Chronomat, the Professional. Yet Omega is stuck with only 2 flagship watches. And within those flagship watches, what if there was no moon landing, which Omega clearly relies heavily on whenever they're marketing their moon watch? That would basically leave Omega with essentially the Seamaster. And who knows where the Seamaster would be if it wasn't for the Speedmaster. An important reason why people like their Speedmaster moon watch, and we hear this all the time, is that they say, I like owning a piece of history. I'm wearing the first watch that was worn on the moon. But that's not an accurate statement, because the first watch that was worn on the moon belonged to astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. All the other moon watches are remakes or tributes to Armstrong and Aldrin's moon watch. And while the Heslite crystal and other materials were the same ones used for the Apollo 11 flight, that doesn't make it the watch that was actually worn on the moon. I think that's an important distinction. I don't dislike Omega watches. In fact, I really like this. Look at the Snoopy watch right here. How cool is that? I think that's a really cool watch. I mean, who doesn't like Snoopy? But which one do we like better, or which one do I like better between the Snoopy Omega and the Mickey Mouse Rolex? I gotta go with Snoopy. I mean, who doesn't love the Peanuts gang? That Snoopy watch is really cool. And if we're wondering what connection is Snoopy with the Speedmaster, I think this picture here might explain it. And this is a really nice looking, this is a sharp looking watch, just because of Snoopy alone. I think ending tonight's show with Snoopy is a great way to do it. Let me know what you think about the current Omega lineup, and if you think Omega should introduce us to newer watches and what that would do for the Omega brand. And thanks for watching. I'll see you the next time.